What's up? It's Raphael with NBA Draft Junkies. I have another video for you today. It is the Kai Jones report with my guy Korey Knepper. Korey was the first person to reach out to me last year when I opened up being a guest on my podcast and on my YouTube channel to my followers, so I had to have him on again. In this video, we kind of not necessarily debate a little bit, but we share our thoughts about Kai Jones, who I think is one of the most intriguing and divisive prospects in this draft class. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell notification button if you want updates. I'm up to 14,000 subscribers, which is still kind of crazy to me. But anyway, let's get into this video. Hope you enjoy the content.
This is where Texas can be good.
Yes, sir. Again, Kai Jones.
Let's talk about Kai Jones. What are your thoughts on him? Are you high? Are you low on him?
I'm very high on Kai Jones. I think he should definitely be a lottery pick.
Okay. All right. That's where we that's what I want to hear. Like, you know, when you come with a hot take like that. And for you, it may not be a hot take. You definitely have to come with good reasoning behind it. I don't have him as a lottery pick. I'm pretty high on him, but I think that he is someone that if you told me 5 years from now he's an all-star, I wouldn't be shocked. And I've mentioned on other podcasts, if you told me he was playing in the EuroLeague 5 years from now, I wouldn't be shocked. So for you as a lottery pick, what is the main thing that sticks out to you that makes you so high on him?
So let's look at, if you look at measurables, he's, a lot of people see him as power forward center. Center only, big only. He needs to probably gain maybe 20 pounds.
I've seen people have him as a wing.
Yeah, no, he ain't a wing. Now, he is switchable, which is nice. That's one thing I do like about him. I think he could do really well in a switchable scheme, which would be great in the playoffs. And I think his shooting there's a lot of times where he's inconsistent. His shot selection isn't great, and his shot form is inconsistent. And I think if he can get involved with a good shooting coach, I think him in New Orleans would be awesome. I think you could see him really, really take off as a shooter. And that's saying, he shot 38% from three at the college level, but he still has room to grow, I think.
Yeah. If you look at just his raw stats on Synergy, you'd look at the numbers and be like, wow, this guy is impressive. He ranked in the top 90 percentile in the country on overall offense, shot over 56% from the floor, 38% from three. He was ranked in the top 86 percentile in the country in transition, which I shouldn't say believe it or not, but the majority of his possessions this season came in transition. He was an efficient cutter. One of the things that does concern me is that he was ranked in the bottom 12% in the nation as the pick and roll man. So when you have him as a center, do you think he can develop into a role man? I will say there wasn't a great volume of attempts where he was the role man. It was only 16, but he was only 6 out of 16 from the floor as a role man. And this is just the raw numbers.
I think whenever he gets to the NBA and he's got better spacing, he was constantly playing with a fellow big, a non-shooter pretty much the entire time.
Two of them sometimes.
So that spacing really clogs it up, and that's probably why his numbers were as low as they were. I think he's going to be more of a pick and pop type of threat. So I think he's, like I said, his shooting, whenever he's straight up and down with his form, he's money. Whenever he starts getting rushed and he gets his hand placements off, his weights off on his with his hips, that's whenever it can get pretty dicey. And you can see he has some really bad misses from three. Those are typically what's going on in those. Whenever he's straight up and down, though, it is all day money. I think that can even extend probably another 5-10 feet back from the college three.
With all that being said, if you usually when you have that type of profile or you mention that about a player, he's around a 32, 33, 28, 29% shooter from three. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a guy that made 38%. So basically, you're buying into him being a high level shooter in the NBA once he gets his mechanics and his form and balance correct.
Yes. If I had the time, I would go through every bit of film of him, look at every 3-point attempt, and basically see how many of them he was straight up and down on and see what his percentage on that. I bet it would probably be close to 50%.
All right. What is another area that stands out to you?
He's done a good job of making quick decisions.
Mhm.
I'm talking like I think he has some potential as a short roll kind of guy too, where you can see him make the right pass. Now it has to be kind of a quick, easier read, but that's something that unfortunately we haven't seen from the guy who was number one on my big board last year, James Wiseman, where the decision making is just not there. But if you give him one dribble and he's got a big down low, he's typically good at dishing it off to him. His handle is pretty good for a guy who's 6'11",
Yep.
especially if you're going to have him at the center position. So I see a lot of Boston Celtics Al Horford type of player in him. Maybe not as good of a playmaker, but pretty close. Now, he had a lot of weapons on that Celtics team, so that helped him out. But I think you could see him developing as a nice little hub for shooters to run around and dribble handoff game.
What's so interesting about that, if I'm not mistaken, on my last mock draft that I did for Locked On, I think I had him going to Boston. So
I
that could
could,
be an interesting fit. And are you comparing him to Horford overall?
yeah, I think his comps to Horford are definitely there. His ability to shoot the three, which is something that Horford was really able to do, specifically in Boston. Now he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be the kind of guy where you want him to be your number two or one option on offense. Probably he's best suited as probably number three.
Yep.
But his switchability on defense and stuff like that to Horford, it seems pretty similar.
That's interesting because one of the players that I see in him is a little bit of Siakam, and Siakam and Horford are totally different players. My concern about him is, well, it's a concern. His game is it's ugly to me. It still seems really raw, but Siakam's game isn't the most pretty either. It looks like he's skilled but just learn how to play, if that makes sense. Like it's just not really like visually pleasing and smooth. I think his basketball IQ is one of the areas that I would like to see him improve on. But just overall, just going by my notes, I have he's a good athlete. He's very fluid, moves like a wing, plays hard, runs the floor, um, super fast in the open floor. So I had to have that twice. I like his vertical pop, just how quick he gets off the ground. I even have on my notes that I believe that he could, at the minimum, be a rim runner or a rim roller, even though the numbers don't suggest that he's a good rim roller. The biggest thing for me that I would love to see that I think could make him an all-star, like I mentioned earlier, is if he can shoot 38% like he did in college, which if he does that in NBA, that's crazy. But if he can attack closeouts and put the ball on the floor as a center, even if you plan him at the four, if he can do that, then he becomes a really big weapon because he has such long strides and he can get to the rim and one dribble.
I
So
think he needs to up his volume from three. He only took like 1.3 attempts,
yep.
is what I have here. And so that volume needs to go up. And if he can I think rim running, he needs to get a little bit stronger. He's only 218 for being 6'11".
Yep.
So if he can get up to that 240 range, his hands are also a little weak. Sometimes he can get bumped around down low a little bit too. And he's got no post game. That's just
Which
not really
you
there.
don't really
But you
need
don't
in
really need
today's
that
NBA.
anymore. Yeah. So that's why I think he's a good modern big.
Yep. So in your opinion, why did he only play like 23 minutes per game? Do you think it was a little bit of politics because Greg Brown was so highly regarded and recruited? Or do you think that they should have played Jones and Sims together more?
I think it's a matter of they had three positions for really, or three players for really one spot, and he was at number 3 at the beginning of the season until Greg Brown had some outburst or something, and then he jumped up to number 2 and played a lot with Sims. But honestly, I think they might have been better off with Kai playing closer to 28, maybe 30 minutes a game. And also, we don't know what his conditioning is like. Because he was only playing 22 minutes a game, it's possible that he has better, it's possible that his conditioning wasn't up there, and so that's why Shaka Smart wasn't putting him out there that much. But I think more than likely, it's just a matter of a senior and a higher rated recruit were ahead of him,
Yep.
and so that's why he wasn't getting a lot of playing time.
All right. I want you to talk about his athleticism.
Watching him handle, there's a couple of times where he's kind of grab and go from the defensive end, and he outruns guards.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Gazelle.
I mean, now these are guards that are probably going to be, working in a regular industry here in a couple of years, but he's still outrunning them. He's still outrunning D1 guards with the ball in his hands.
Yep.
His ability to stop is also pretty wonderful as well. He's got a couple of times where he pulls out the Euro step, and it actually
long Euro step.
Good. Yeah, it actually looks good. He looks like he played soccer or something. His footwork's pretty nice. His like I said, he's just a little bit thin and gets bumped around a little bit too much down low. And I think just maturity physically will help with that a lot as well.
Yep. So you mentioned his shooting. And I think that is like the key skill for him going forward. And it's something I mentioned, but I wanted to get your opinion on him as a ball handler or being able to attack off the dribble.
I don't think he's gonna ever be able to do it in the sense of like a wing or even a Bam or a Towns level area, but maybe Christian Wood level of attacking off the dribble, where maybe 2 or 3 times a game he attacks a closeout. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to be a real big part of his game.
Do you think it's something that he can develop into a bigger part of his game? Because based off of everything we said, he has the athleticism, he has the ball handling, like you mentioned, and then you mentioned that just to like the quick decision making. So do you think it's something that he can develop into like a really big threat off the dribble?
I don't think he'll ever be a huge threat off the dribble, but I do think he could contribute a little bit off of the dribble. I don't think it should ever be a focal point of his game. More in the short roll, one dribble pass type of stuff where he's really got a lot of open space, but I don't want to see him dribbling in traffic very often.
Gotcha. Now, if you could pick one team where you think he would be a good fit, and now considering you have him as a lottery pick, what is the best situation for him?
I really like New Orleans.
That makes sense. I thought they should have taken the guy from Maryland last year. What's his name?
Smith.
Yeah, I can't think of his first name right now.
Jalen.
Jalen Smith. Yeah, there's like
So
a
many
million Jalen's. Yeah, there's like 5 this year.
This draft.
But yeah, I felt like Jalen Smith would have been a really good fit for them. And I don't even know if he's playing in Phoenix. Like, it doesn't even seem like he's getting any time at all. So, yeah, I think that would be a really good fit. Is there another team that you think he could come in and contribute right away and have an impact?
I was going to say Toronto until you said contribute right away. I'd like to see him in Toronto, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
a big
think
fan
he
of their
can
development
start.
program.
See, I'm trying to think of who else is in that lottery range.
What about Cleveland?
Cleveland, I think they got their big. I think Cleveland has a chance here to get either Jalen Johnson or Scotty Barnes, who I think would fit a little bit better. Or if they end up winning the lottery and get Cade, I think that's like the perfect fit for Cade. That'd be an insane team to be on.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see him in Washington.
Yeah, that would be an interesting fit.
I think his defense is better than Thomas Bryant's, and I think he can give you almost the same right away in shooting.